I don't know. It's mind-blowing that they've not tried to prosecute even one. Not even the worst offender on the Epstein client list. They've not even tried to prosecute even one. That's insane.
Musk's statement has reignited long-standing debates about elite connections, the client list, and the motivations of powerful figures in US politics. This case, and also Diddy's, has been a point of global intrigue since the news broke. Elon also highlighted during the Tucker Carlson interview that many celebrities and powerful individuals are also worried about the Diddy case. Regarding Jeffrey's client list, he allegedly maintained a network of high-profile friends, business associates and clients, many of whom visited his private island and attended events or gatherings hosted by him. His mysterious passing in his jail cell left many questions unanswered, and every other week his name trends on social media, with people wanting answers for what happened. The existence of a client list has been the subject of speculation since his arrest, with many believing it could expose well-known figures who may have been involved in or aware of his illegal activities. Social media users have not been shy in expressing their belief that if such a list exists, it should be made public and that anyone involved should be brought to justice. One of the main reasons for the outrage is the perceived disparity in the legal system. Social media users argue that if the individuals on this list were ordinary citizens, they would likely have already faced consequences. However, the alleged clients are thought to be extremely wealthy and powerful individuals, leading people to question if their status is shielding them from accountability. The sentiment of justice for all resonates strongly on platforms like Twitter, where users frequently post that the rich and powerful should be held to the same standards as everyone else. Many feel that the absence of any arrests among his associates implies a double standard, where elite figures are seemingly immune from prosecution due to their influence, wealth, or connections. The frustration on social media is also fueled by a lack of transparency from law enforcement agencies. Since his passing, there has been very little information released about any ongoing investigations into his associates. This silence has left people feeling in the dark, intensifying suspicions of a cover-up or intentional inaction. Many users call for transparency, arguing that the public deserves to know the full extent of his network and the individuals involved. As public frustration grows over the lack of accountability regarding the client list, social media users are increasingly pointing out the connections that he maintained with a wide network of powerful and high-profile individuals, including celebrities, politicians, business magnates, and even royalty. These ties, documented through photos, social events, and flight logs, suggest that he had extensive access to influential people in various spheres. Many users on platforms like Twitter and Instagram are now scrutinizing these connections, sharing images and articles that illustrate how closely certain individuals were associated with him. This scrutiny has led to widespread speculation that some of these individuals may be intentionally avoiding investigation or arrest, potentially due to blackmail or other forms of coercion. One of the more widely circulated theories is that he may have been involved in a blackmail scheme, using his connections and network to gather compromising information on influential figures. His properties, including his infamous private island, New York townhouse, and ranch in New Mexico, were reportedly equipped with surveillance cameras, leading some to believe he might have used this footage to obtain leverage over his guests. Social media users suggest that he could have compiled compromising material on various associates, leaving them vulnerable to blackmail. If true, this would not only explain the reluctance of certain individuals to distance themselves from him, but also raise questions about whether some of his high-profile friends could still be under the shadow of this blackmail even after his passing. This theory resonates deeply on social media, where users are quick to connect the dots between his close connections and the notable silence or inaction regarding his client list. Prominent figures who were frequently seen with him or flew on his private jet are frequently named in these discussions, with users questioning why such individuals have not faced investigation or public questioning. The lack of legal action against them fuels the belief that they might be using their wealth and influence to keep incriminating information under wraps. The pervasive theory of blackmail has fostered a climate of distrust toward these celebrities and powerful individuals, as the public wonders if their silence indicates complicity or fear of exposure. Public figures who have been associated with him, such as former presidents, members of the British royal family, and well-known actors and business leaders face intense scrutiny on social media. Users often cite the lack of accountability as evidence of hidden corruption and cover-ups, suggesting that his connections offered him protection even as his crimes became public knowledge. This notion has led to increased calls for a deeper, independent investigation into his network, with many arguing that only a fully transparent inquiry can restore trust in the justice system and reveal the full extent of his alleged blackmail operation. Adding to the suspicion, some public figures who were once close to him have chosen to distance themselves or downplay their connections, leading to accusations of hypocrisy and deception. In high-profile cases, certain individuals have claimed to have had no knowledge of his criminal activities or denied any wrongdoing. However, social media users often counter these statements by sharing photos, video footage, and documented instances where these individuals were seen in his company, suggesting a level of familiarity that contradicts their statements. For the public, these inconsistencies are troubling, leading many to believe that these figures may have something to hide. The blackmail theory also raises broader questions about how influence can be wielded behind the scenes. Social media users argue that the very existence of such a network, one where individuals could potentially be coerced into silence, reflects a deep-rooted problem with power structures in society. The idea that wealthy and influential individuals could protect each other or be protected from accountability undermines public confidence in institutions meant to deliver justice. Many people fear that, if the blackmail theory is true, it could mean that policy decisions, public narratives, and even media coverage may be influenced by a select group of people working to preserve their own reputations and avoid scandal. The theory that certain individuals may be compromised or controlled by potential blackmail has prompted calls for full transparency, not only about the client list, but also about any covert influence that might have been exerted on policymakers and media outlets. Social media discussions frequently highlight the need for independent, non-partisan inquiries that are free from external influence, emphasizing that justice should be served regardless of wealth or status. The public desire to see justice served is strong, with many believing that only by exposing every detail of his network can society start to address the issues of corruption, exploitation, and abuse of power. Further, the secrecy surrounding his connections and alleged client list has highlighted the complex relationships between politics, celebrity, and wealth, leading to discussions about privilege and accountability. For many people, the case has become emblematic of a wider belief that those in positions of power often operate under a different set of rules, insulated from the consequences of their actions. The possibility that certain individuals might be blackmailed into silence or manipulation only adds to the perception that wealth and influence can protect people from justice. Without official updates, social media has become a space for speculation and debate, with countless users demanding answers to why no further arrests have been made. This lack of information leaves room for conspiracy theories to flourish, as people speculate that powerful interests are working to keep the case from moving forward. Moreover, social media has amplified the voices of those who believe the case reflects broader societal issues, such as corruption and the misuse of power. Users point to this case as indicative of how wealth and influence can protect people from facing consequences, deepening public mistrust in the justice system. Many commenters draw connections to other cases in which influential figures avoided accountability, arguing that his associates are another example of a two-tiered justice system. Some users are disillusioned, expressing fears that, despite widespread outrage, the case may never be fully resolved, and those involved may evade justice indefinitely. Among them is the question of who exactly was on his client list, a list that has reportedly remained sealed or out of public reach due to the sensitivity and high-profile nature of the names it might contain. His connections spanned high-ranking politicians, business magnates, and even royalty, and thus the secrecy surrounding his client list has fueled intense public curiosity and speculation about who else might have been involved or implicated in his activities. Musk's alleged comments suggesting that some billionaires might be supporting Harris as a way to prevent this list from surfacing add an additional layer of complexity to the political landscape. It implies that, for these influential backers, there may be more at stake in the upcoming election than simple political ideology or policy preferences. If Trump were to win, and the client list was somehow released, these individuals could face serious reputational, legal, and financial repercussions. By supporting Harris, according to Musk's theory, these billionaires are effectively trying to safeguard themselves and prevent what they view as a potentially damaging disclosure. Musk's statement is interesting, and it has led many people to wonder how much influence and power wealthy elites exert behind the scenes in American politics, and whether they use their resources to manipulate election outcomes to protect their own interests. This theory aligns with long-standing suspicions among segments of the public that high-ranking politicians and billionaires may be closely interconnected and may act to protect one another when faced with scandal or potential legal consequences. Over the years, people have become increasingly skeptical about the relationship between politics and wealth, perceiving that the two often converge to serve the interests of a small, powerful elite. Musk's comments tap into this skepticism by suggesting that Harris's support might be part of a strategy employed by wealthy backers to preserve their secrecy, essentially insulating themselves from potential repercussions. If there were truth to Musk's claims, it would imply that some political endorsements may not always be based on a candidate's capabilities or policies, but rather on the influence the candidate could exert over legal proceedings, investigations, or public disclosures. The case has always been shrouded in secrecy, with many details left unexplained or hidden from the public, and Musk's alleged remarks add fuel to the belief that there are forces working behind the scenes to keep it that way.